exist. I wonder what would change. I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I have today. Time's gone by, I've traded like dirt into clay. I thought my memories would end. One train over's now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Oh, good morning. How you doing? Robinson County and points beyond. This is 1100 WSG. I'm Utah LaVern, and this is one street over. And yes, that's sunshine out there, y'all. Oh, my goodness. I'm so glad to see it. I'm just so excited. It's like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God. Sunshine that we're getting, greeting us into this day. And no, kids, you did not get snow last night. My students, Dr. Danny Weeks is in the house, and I'm sure he heard it yesterday, too. There's snow in the forecast. Are we going to go to school tomorrow? And I told the students, I said, I believe the rain is going to get here ahead of the temperatures. So I think that, yes, you are going to school tomorrow. But we have all these snow days left. Do you hear that all the time this year? Oh, my goodness, you know you do. Dr. Danny Weeks is in the house, fresh off of the school board meeting last night. And I'm just throwing it right at you there, sir.
You are
God bless
pitching it
you.
right there, and that's okay because a couple of seconds late this morning because
Oh, you're fine.
I was up at 3:30 and 4 and 4:30 and 5 this
Yeah.
morning, checking roads, talking with other superintendents, talking with our folks here to make sure that we are good to go. I noticed, and we did have the school board meeting last night, as you said, and as I was going home, I got home about 9:30, and it was snowing an awful lot around here. And I was talking to some directors a little bit to our west, and they were talking about how deep it was getting on the roads. I didn't actually see anything on the roads when I went to bed, and that's when I got up so early this morning. So that's a big task and a big responsibility.
Yes, it is. And bless your heart, people just have no idea of the hours that you must keep. And it's just constant. And
It is.
when you're in a position that you're in, it is just constant. And I say that because having gotten to know Dr. Chris Causey and just the constant. And there's just no break from it. And you've been doing this for a while because you were out in Dixon County for how many years?
I was out there 11 and a half years,
Man.
so 12 years doing the job,
Goodness.
and so yeah.
Bless you. You must love it.
I do love it.
You must love it. And he's
Absolutely.
home now. If you have not met our new director of schools, Dr. Danny Weeks, you need to do that. And he's got his old stomping ground is Greenbrier. So I just love that you came popping in, and I got to meet you before I met you on the air. It was so wonderful. But with our schools, the doors are always open, guys. I have never seen. When I first started knocking on the door to see about coming in and working, I could not have been greeted with more complete hospitable and welcoming. And yes, we need you. Where can we plug you in? And I was looking at all different kinds of avenues. So I say that to say, if you want to get to know this gentleman, do so. Reach out to him. How are you doing this morning?
Wonderful. Like I said, been up for several hours this morning, and so that'll slow me down a little bit in the middle of the day, I'm sure. But
Of course.
it's been a good couple of weeks. We've really been busy at the district office and doing a lot of planning for next year.
Yeah.
And you talk about the hours and the things we do. A lot of the times, right after we get back and get rolling from the Christmas break, we start planning for next year.
Oh yeah.
And so the unique situation that I jumped into this year for transferring districts in the middle of the year, that even became more important to me. And so we have, you talked about visiting schools. That's been extremely important to get around and visit our schools, to meet with every one of our principals to talk about what's going on in their buildings. Just as you mentioned, also trying to pop in and see and say hi to lots of people, and try not to interrupt teaching and stop that teaching learning process. But, just get to see what's going on in our schools and our classrooms. And that's very important for us. But yes, we've met with principals, we met with department heads, and we'll be slowly putting together a budget and getting ready for the new year in terms of budgeting. We'll be talking to our HR department about what kind of teachers we're looking for next year. And I know one of the things that we had scheduled to talk about is definitely, we're having a career fair coming
Yes.
up. And so on that career fair, again, it's not just for teachers, but it's for all of our employees. And so I know we've mentioned many times, if there's a place that you want to plug in somewhere and want to get attached to, if you can do it part-time, if you can do it just mornings only or just afternoons, we have jobs, with all of our departments and all our divisions. And I think that's one of the places that people don't realize. A large, I hate to call it a corporation, but a large business that has divisions in school nutrition, school transportation, cleaning services, substitute teachers, and then certainly there's several office jobs and teacher assistant jobs. So there are a lot of things to do. And that job fair coming up on the 12th, it's there. There will be principals there. There will be people that are willing to help you, and some people may think they don't have the educational background they need. We can help train them to do those things. We can help them get back in college. If they're looking for bus driving positions, we can help them get their licenses to drive a school bus and things like that. So lots of opportunities. Most of our principals will be there. Our HR staff will be there, and they'll be ready to just, kind of pull people in and help them and work with them any way they can.
And those hours are going to be 2 to 6 p.m. on Tuesday, March 12th. And something that's also available is Mr. Fee from APSU is going to be there to audit your transcripts. And so if you're somebody that you're thinking, because when I went into the job fair, because this is how the door opened for me. Now, it's something I had been considering, but my journey, I've been working at my church up in Madison for about 7 years. And when gas prices went, I had to do something in county, and I knew that I needed to make a change. And so I knew the school system is where I wanted to be, but I was very interested in English language learners, and because I've done a lot of ESL. So I went in with that intention of going back to school to become an ELL teacher, and met with Principal Skaggs at the time. And, he was, over at Springfield.
Right.
And I was, talking to them, and that's what I was checking into. Then I get a phone call about 2 weeks later from Dr. Osborne. And then they tell me about the AV program. So I say all that to say, you never know the direction that you're going to go once you get in there, because once they see you're very seriously interested, there may be something else you can bring to the table that you hadn't even thought of, because I had no idea this was coming. And so, yeah, it's an awesome opportunity. But I do like the availability of somebody to look at your transcripts and say, here's what you can do. Because that was my question that day.
Right.
Is if I'm going to be an ELL, and Mr. Staggs, he was like, oh yeah, let's get you in there. He was going to fix it, to where we could. But I was already qualified to be a CTE teacher, and it is CTE month. Dr. Weeks is only here till 7:30 because we got a CTE student coming in that's going to talk to us about the CTE program. Right. But again, you just have no idea the opportunities there. Tuesday, March 12th, 2 to 6 p.m. at central office. And
we have a great partnership. I don't mean to interrupt. We've got a great partnership with Austin P, and they are so easy to work with. And maybe the person that doesn't quite have the background or all the classes they needed, or maybe just like a few classes, we can look at transcripts from what we know, and our HR department can do that. But, he's the person, we all have to work through a university or an educational provider to help people get their licenses. And so he is one that helps us to get right in there. He knows what he's looking for, and he can very easily tell you not only what you might lack if there's anything, but he can also, he knows the schedule that when those classes are offered and when those courses are offered, so he can help line people up and just get them right in line, and we can start people working while they're working on their coursework.
I've got a friend that's got his master's in teaching. Is I think English. I'm not sure what all he has, but he's coming to this because he needs to be an English teacher. It's wide open, and he may not be able to get into the school he wants right out of the gate.
Right.
But I told him, I said, you need to be there,
Right.
and so he's coming. And I love that the transcript, that they're going to have that opportunity to look at it because that's his question. Some of his stuff is 10 years old. Is it still good? Where he had tested into doing English or whatever. What is the test called? I forget. It starts with, I can't remember, but it's something that the teachers have to take as like an assessment or something.
Praxis, maybe.
That's it.
Praxis
That's the word,
test.
praxis. And he had passed his praxis about 10 years ago for English. And so do those expire?
Again, those are questions for the university. Yeah,
that's a question for Mr. Fee. So come to the job fair Tuesday, March 12th, 2 to 6 p.m. It's going to be at 800 MS Couts Boulevard, and that's where the Board of Education, that's the central office, as we call it. So be sure, and then that's where the board meeting happens too. So since we're limited on time, let's just jump right in. What happened with the board meeting last night?
Well, again, we had another great meting. I'll just say while we're on that topic, January was School Board Appreciation Month.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And, we're just so appreciative of the board members and the support and trust that they've placed in our administration. So they do a great job of studying their packets and knowing what kind of information is going to be on there. And they can, they're ready to jump right in. So the last couple of months, we've reviewed several policies. And last night, we no exception. There's several policies that were out there that really are administrative policies. They don't deal so much with students, but a lot of them are dealing with finance and bookkeeping and things like that. And we all know that the days of getting checks and cash and things like that are, slowly going away with our technology that we have. So we discussed a lot about fundraising policies and how students are fundraising and the crowdfunding type applications and things like that people are raising money for their clubs and organizations. And we really have not had a clean way of collecting those dollars from students or from the general public as they choose to buy something or support something. And so we looked at some policies that would help bookkeepers and help principals know how to kind of manage those. And of course, as public servants, we want to always be good stewards of those dollars. So, checking into the people that are providing those fundraising opportunities. If you pay something online, you want to make sure you're not getting scammed, and you want to make sure it's a reputable company. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of policies like that dealt with those type things. So administrative type policies, one thing. The second thing that we looked at, and I'm so proud, and I'm glad you got the CTE kids coming in this morning because of CTE month. One of the expectations of our CTE teachers is that they have the clubs and the organizations that go along with their CTE courses. And so our health sciences have HOSA, our FFA classes have the agriculture classes have the FFA programs.
Skills USA for the rest
Skills
of
USA,
us.
the robotics competitions and all those type things. And so last night we looked at about 16 or 17 travel requests, and most of those relate to one group has, they've won something at the district level or here in the county. They've gone on to their district. And so a lot of these places are now receiving the opportunity to go compete regionally, so in the Southeast, and even some of them nationally. So we're excited to see our students excelling there, and just, proud to provide those opportunities. And, you talk about the hours I put in, but you guys as teachers, you're working with students after school, getting them prepared to go into a competition, and then to put them on a bus or an airplane or something there in our cars to go travel and to take that responsibility for them and help them learn how to spend their money while they're away from home and all those kind of things. Those are such important skills, and so looking at those individually as well, we took a look at several of those, and that's a part of every meeting that we looked at. So special permissions. I know we don't talk about this very much, but every month there are 3 or 4 reports that our board receives, and they review the work of some of the departments and things. They have oversight through their employee, but yet we report to them. And so one of those is the discipline hearing. And so students that unfortunately make some mistakes, make some poor choices while they're at school, they might end up before a disciplinary board. And so our disciplinary hearing authority always gives a report of, the students, not by name, but by offense, of, who comes to the discipline board, what their consequences might happen to be, and how they do that. The board also always gets a financial report, and that's important for us every month, and extremely important as we look at expenditures and the revenues that are coming in. And again, I'm just going to put in another plug for being local. When we have opportunities to buy things locally instead of going out of county and things like that, those tax dollars that are generated through our sales tax, those come right back into the county. A portion of that goes to schools, and of course helps fund supplies, materials, salaries, and all those things that are associated with that. And so, we spend a lot of time looking at that in our office, and we give a monthly financial report to the board to just kind of show, where we are in terms of revenues and how that matches with our budget. And so, we have a budget report every month. And then the rest of the things that are out there, the personnel report, again, is another monthly report that the board reviews the action of our personnel department and our HR department. So they get a list of those people who are retiring, those people that might need to take a leave of absence for some reason, people that, are been transferred from one position to another, or people who are hired in the middle of the year. So, so those are 4 main reports that they always get. And, it's exciting for them to know, as well as the public to know, that watches and sees our agenda and sees those reports that come out, and able to just see the inner workings of the department. Because again, government, it's a transparent operation. And so those things that are out there, it's so important that our public is involved. And so I'm thankful for that. And again, I'm thankful for a board that understands those reports, that they, they're not micromanagers at all. They're helping us to work and helping us to see those and bringing suggestions to us. A couple other things that we looked at last night. One of the things is just looking, and we will have this on our website sometime today, but it's always important that our families know what the school calendar is, and it sometimes amazes me that some people call and say, are we going to school tomorrow? Not because of snow, but just, maybe a holiday, or a holiday that maybe is taken sometimes. Some people think tomorrow is going to be a holiday, Valentine's Day.
Right.
But, are we going to school? What are we doing? And so our board has had the foresight to not only approve next year's calendar, the 24-25 calendar, but we work even a year ahead of that to do the 25-26 calendar. And so last night, the board reviewed a couple of options that we brought to them in terms of preparing for the 25-26 school year. And they last night they approved the 25-26 calendar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So people can, make long range travel plans and things like that. They'll know when spring break is. They'll know when Christmas breaks are. And then I think that's important for families, because, we don't want students to be in that quandary of being taken out of school to, do I go on vacation with my family, or do I have to stay because of something there? And, we don't want students penalized because maybe they miss a test or something. And so we need them to do those things. And
You're fine.
I'm sorry.
You're a busy guy.
So
you're busy.
We are excited to have that 25-26 calendar out there for them. And so, we'll have that on our website. We'll start sharing that around with our families. And so they'll be able to see that and to know when and where school starts again. So, it breaks down that 180 days that students are responsible for, and they'll know where they are. So,
well, and we are out Monday for President's Day. So get ready for that. Because I have students going, are we really off a Monday, Miss Vivio? And I'm like, yes, we are. This President's Day. So you do have that holiday coming up. And a lot of people don't realize we take that holiday.
Yes.
And so that's one that's, now I'll tell you one that's coming up too. And it's not really a holiday, but there's going to be the election. And so that's going to be, did y'all talk about that at all? And how that is going to, because I mean, you legally cannot have school in session when voting's happening. Is that correct?
Well,
right.
if the schools are used as polls,
Right.
which in
Which
Robertson
they
County
are.
we do,
Yeah.
then we cannot have school in session. And
Right.
so, that's a place that
Super Tuesday.
you might not know those things. And so, as they do, again, a family might want to make a long weekend out of that. And so, by knowing a year, 2 years in advance, they can make those plans. And we're excited to be able to provide those for them.
Of course, it's on a Tuesday though. So when is Super Tuesday? I'm thinking, isn't it? We're out
It
on
is.
Tuesday. Yeah,
Yes.
it's Tuesday, March 5th. So Tuesday, March 5th is Super Tuesday, and that's when all the things happen. So it'll be a busy day around the schools, but just not with students.
That's
it'll
correct.
be, unless you want to take your student with you to show them the election process, which I highly recommend. I did that with my kiddos, and so that's coming up. But keep going because we don't want you. We're expecting as far as the CTE students, we had several that we were trying to get to come in. Transportation is always an issue. We had some of our robotic students just could not get here. But I do have Alex Maddux coming in. Y'all visited with him before. He's one of my audio video students, and he is just finishing his pathway in audio video. He is also doing a business pathway that he is going to finish, and he has an interest in medical now. And so he's got such a diversified interest. He's a perfect person to come in and speak about CTE. So he'll
Looking
be
forward
in
to
here.
meeting him
Yes,
myself. That's
absolutely.
great.
He'll be in here at the bottom of the hour. But let's continue on. We are talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. He's our director of schools if you're new to the area. And they had the school board meeting last night, and we are just getting that report. So go right ahead, sir.
The next biggest one to add, it's our strategic building plan. And so the state law encourages boards of education to put together a 5-year building plan. And there are lots of projects that have been planned and discussed and prepared and looked at, and some of them even placed out to bid. And so we wanted to consolidate that down to one page where we can see it just window pane by window pane. What are the things that we'd like to accomplish this summer? What are the things that we'd like to accomplish next fall? And so over the next 5 years, we've looked at those projects that are out there that the board's going to be either heavily involved in or exploring. Some of them are just looking for land. We know, the White House area is just growing by leaps and bounds and subdivisions all the time. And, we have some documents of the building permits that are out there and everything. So there's long range planning for looking for land to, do we go buy some land? We have some land there at White House Heritage High School. And so we're looking at how would a school fit on that campus? Some rough estimates of what a building would cost to serve middle school students. We looked at the idea of another middle school facility here in the Springfield city limits to serve our middle school students here in Springfield. So those are two projects that we talked about. But the more immediate projects, there are several projects that are right here in town, and some renovations at IA, the old Springfield Middle School building, the old Springfield High School building from long ago days. But there's some things that need to be taken care of in that building. West Side has some really needs and some things that need to be taken care of there. And we already have some drawings and some bids on those. And so we hope to get started on some of those projects just, the minute students are not there. Those need to be, those are major projects that, would interfere with instruction. So having those students out of the building so that people can get started. But everything, we're looking at some ball fields in the Coopertown area, some lights on some ball fields in different places, playgrounds and driveways in the White House area to help with traffic flow and to help just solve some of those issues. So there are lots of small projects, but then there are some huge projects. Building middle schools. Those are major projects and take lots of time, lots of planning, and that's something that the Board of Education themselves cannot do because of the need for additional funding for those capital projects. And so that's going to involve our county commissioners and our the education committee of the county commissioners, the building and grounds committees. I'm sure we'll look at that, and finance committees and budget committees. So big picture, we'd like to lay that out over the next 4 or 5 years just to kind of say, these are the things that we see that are coming out, and how can we strategically plan how they'll hit our budgets, or will they hit maintenance budgets, or will they hit larger capital projects budgets?
Well, and did you talk at all about what they're doing at Greenbrier, with the gym possibility? What's
That
the
is.
situation with that?
That
Since
was
I'm there.
since you were there. That is on the 5-year plan. It is
Okay.
it is in that last pane, so it is needed. But when you weigh that compared to
Right.
do we need another middle school? Do we need another area for students to learn and things like that? So those things are all being planned out, and so the board has put that on their 5-year plan, and so it's exciting, that again, we talk about the size of the school system, and as we think about the multiple buildings that need to take place, but Robertson County is growing, and that's exciting, but that also brings some challenges about, and I think there's some places that we're a little behind on some maintenance that desperately needs to take care of, and we need to put some dollars into there, and some dollars for roofing projects, some dollars for driveway projects, and things like that. So, we've got to balance all of those things while we're considering looking at, just the renovations. And then, I'd be remiss not to brag on our maintenance department too.
Oh, yeah.
But just, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday last week. I don't know about you, but I got up pretty chilly this morning because of the snow and everything. But we had a large boiler go down, which takes care of the heat for an entire building, and believe me, those aren't cheap to replace. So our maintenance department looks at can we fix this? Do we have to replace it and things like that? So. We went a couple days with encouraging kids to wear their jackets and wear a sweater and dress a little bit more warmly. Very fortunate last week that it wasn't so
It was
cold.
more mild.
It was
Yeah.
mild is a good word. But to have the students, their comfort and their safety is so important, and you can't control when something like that happens. Just mechanical equipment goes down and breaks, and so. But those are things too that also impact our budget. They impact the work that we do, and so. When you're scheduling out a facility plan, you've also got to think about the maintenance that needs to be done on those.
Well, and you mentioned roofing. My husband and I, we were roofing contractors for 20 years.
I did not know that.
And there was a company, they called themselves Fifth Wall Roofing, and I thought that's wonderful because people just don't understand how important that fifth wall
Right.
is. Because boy, what's coming in over your head, and these flat surface roofs, they just don't understand when they start failing, it can be devastating to the building, and it's an extraordinary expense, very expensive. We did a lot of school roofing, not in this area, but. Yeah, people just don't realize when that starts happening, you can't wait.
Right.
You can't push that down because then it will just affect your entire structure. So, yeah, roofing's got to go priority. So, unfortunately, our gym may have to wait over at Greenbrier, y'all, but we'll get there eventually. What else are we missing? Anything?
Well, those are the big things.
Okay.
Then the last thing I would say is we look at legislative interests, and so right now the legislature's in session, and
Yep.
I know you regularly talk to senators and representatives and get their opinions and their thoughts on legislation that's out there. But the school board also is interested, even though they're at a legislative body, they're interested in legislation that's proposed at the state level that comes down and impacts what we do in our school system, and so really. Their organization, the Tennessee Association of School Boards, and my professional association, the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents, each of them have, various lobbyists and interest groups that help them analyze the literature and the legislation that's out there. And so lots of legislation on funding and how schools are going to be funded. There's lots of legislation out there on different curriculum topics and what is taught in our schools. And so looking and studying those things and seeing how important that is. And then just, I kind of categorize the others as just overall operations. Sometimes, somebody has an idea and they bring that to the legislature and it gets passed. And so, we have to figure out a way to implement that.
Well, and you also have a liaison that particularly works with the legislation, right?
We do.
Yes.
Most every school board
Yeah.
designates one of their school board members to attend the legislative sessions. I think there's actually a session going on today that I think one of our board members and one of our staff members are attending, just to make sure that they understand how that works and what they need to listen to, what they need to hear. And then, they come back and share that with us as a group, and we potentially meet with our legislators, call our legislators, and share how that would impact us in schools. because sometimes the things that they pass in Nashville, they don't see what that looks like from an operational or managerial standpoint.
Well, and that's, Senator Kerry Roberts and I are very good friends, and it's been, I've been able to talk to him from a teacher perspective now, and it's a unique, it's a unique view when you're in the classroom, guys, and you don't fully understand it until you are in the classroom. You just don't, and so we've been able to have some very unique conversations because I'm in the classroom now, and so I really am thankful for that. One thing I don't want to Miss Barbara is wanting to just kind of put out there, maybe helping us to bring more foreign exchange students in. We have a foreign exchange student at Greenbrier Nade. She is precious, and just love her. I had the blessing of having her in class last semester. Is there anything that, from your perspective, we can do to open our doors more? I don't know, just in a wider way to bring in more foreign exchange students, because it's such a great opportunity for our kids learn so much from these kiddos. Is there anything that y'all can do from a school board perspective to help that initiative?
I think awareness is probably the biggest
Okay.
one, Barbara and I have been friends for a long time, and the interesting thing about that is when I was in school, I can still see the names and faces of exchange students that were here that I went to school with. I think as early as my freshman year, maybe sophomore, junior, senior years for sure, and just develop those relationships with them. They learn about our country, we learn about their country, and just what a great opportunity. But I think awareness is probably the biggest thing, because the challenge I'm sure that she has, that we would have, is just finding that host family.
Yes,
Someone that's
that's the big
willing
one.
to open up their homes and to say, we're letting someone from another country come in and live with us, and to make that. And so, it's a great opportunity for our students. You mentioned the things that they learn from those students, and develop those relationships. And again, I can think back to people that I enjoyed, several years ago back in high school.
Well, and that's the key, is finding host families. So we just say that again and again. As much as you can, find out about the foreign exchange program. Anything we're missing before I let you slip out of here? I saw Alex is here. He stuck his head in just a minute ago to let me know he's here. What are we missing? Anything that you need to cover before we part ways for this month?
I would say next month in March, we actually have a planning session before the regular board
Right.
session. And so they will be talking a little bit more about the budget, possibly looking at some more information about building plans. But those are the two big projects that are going on. But I'm also going to come back and say, our priority is always going to be instruction. And so right behind safety and security, which are, top priority, you got to have those before you go further. The next things we look at is, the quality of the instruction that's going on in that classroom every day, the quality of teachers that we have, the quality of employees that we have, and all of those are addressed by those expectations that I hope come out of our office, and I hope that emulates from our office all the way down to principals, then down to teachers, and what happens in the classrooms. But, it's what happens in the classroom is the most important thing that we do. Aside from building plans, aside from what goes on in our office and even our school's office, and it's you're fixing to talk to a student, and so the impact that a teacher is going to have on a student's life, that's so important.
Amen. Amen. Appreciate you, my friend.
Absolutely.
God bless
Thank
you. You have a great day.
See you, bye.
Let you get into your day. I know getting out of here a few minutes early won't be a bad thing, because I know you're busy. That is Dr. Danny Weeks. He is our director of schools here in Robertson County. So reach out to him at the central office. And as he's saying hello to my student, Alex Maddux, who's out in the hallway there, going to be coming in here in just a minute to talk CTE. You can come on in and sit down, Alex. But we need to talk about our sponsors. We're going to start with Mr. Perry's Music. Oh, I just love talking about the Myers, Perry and Katie Myers. I keep saying I got to get Katie in to help me with my house, and I'm just trying to find a time to have her come in, and we'll talk about her on Thursday. But because I've got so much I need to share with her, to come in and help me with. She's just a design expert, but we'll talk about that on Thursday. Mr. Perry's Music. I was talking with one of my students who works with Mr. Perry, and it's really cool because he has gone up through there with, started, taking music lessons, became one of the first bands that Mr. Perry put together, does their own gig. They do their own gigs now. They go out and play weddings and all that kind of thing. It is so key. If you want your child, if you want to be more involved in music and you want to develop a music, an instrument ability, You need somebody to play music with. I have dabbled my entire life, but what I've never had is the opportunity to really, play in a band, to play with people and just sit down. And my timing is terrible when it comes to an instrument because I just kind of do my own thing, kind of freestyle. And that doesn't work so much when you're in a group. I've listened to Danita Brown talk about her girls and how much more that's the She's My Sister band we talk about with bluegrass, and what a crucial thing it's been for them to sit down with a group and play, and how it has just advanced their talent in ways that she just can't describe. That is something that you need with your kiddos if you want them interested in learning an instrument, learning about music, is that opportunity to collaborate and be in a band. And that's what they're doing. They are, building bands. And the House That Rocks, you can't miss it, right there on Highway 41. But Mr. Perry is the guy. If you want to put your kids into a program where they can work with other students, you just need to reach out to him today and just, see what can happen. And they may be thinking they're interested in playing drums, and then they get in there and put their hands on a keyboard and they're like, oh, this is it. But you can go to www.mrperryspringfield.com, www.mrperryspringfield.com, and check in. And I've taken lessons from him. I need to go in right now and just kind of get some refreshers on what I've been doing with my mandolin lately. And I can't say enough about his knowledge of so many different instruments. I have never seen him pick up anything he couldn't play. He can help you out. He can help your kids out. He can help you out if you want individual lessons, if you want to be a part of band. And if you want to, register now and start talking to them about the summer camps and programs that they're going to be doing, reach out today, www.mrperryspringfield.com, www.mrperryspringfield.com. And always, please let our sponsors know that U-Turn sent you and that their ad dollars are working. Talking with my student, this is Alex Maddux. He's in the house. He's been here before. And I appreciate so much him getting here. And I'm just so impressed he drove himself. He's driving now. And that's so cool. I've watched you grow up right before my eyes, young man. I mean, that's the coolest thing about being a teacher. Is just, truly, goodness, you've grown up so much. And it's just only been a year and a half since I've known you, but you've been through AV 1, 2, and now he's in AV 3 with me. And his patience is, I can't say enough about the ones that have had to be part of the program from the very get-go. There's so much that we're not doing that we're going to be doing. And I know you can see that, but you're going to be around town. So you can come in after you graduate and you can help us and continue to learn and help us develop the program, because you have just a deep interest in audio video. And it's, what's really cool is Alex had, he had already been doing stuff before we started the program. And it's kind of like, when you came in the classroom for AV1, it was like, finally, right? You're like, let's do this thing. But what got you interested in audio and video?
Well, when I was signing up for classes on freshman year, I was scrolling through the classes and I seen audio video, and I had already, where I had been doing that stuff before, I had talked to the guidance counselors about what it was, and none of them really knew because it was new and there wasn't a teacher yet and all that. And so they started telling me what they did know about it, and it sounded interesting. So I looked into it, and then I decided to take it.
Yeah, but it was your sophomore year before I arrived, right? I wasn't there your freshman year, was I? Because you're a junior, right?
Yeah, it may have been sophomore.
Yeah, it's sophomore year. Because I've only been there. This is just the middle of my second year. So you figure, so they already had it as a projected class your freshman year?
I think it was, because I feel like I signed up freshman year for it.
Well, and you may have, because what I did not realize is Dr. Causey told me later is they had me pegged to teach it, and they didn't tell me. They were just waiting to see if I was truly interested. And when I showed up at the job fair, they're like, okay, she's serious. And that's when they told me about it. And that was in the spring of your freshman year when they hired me. And so, so it had been about this time during your freshman year. So it was already a projected class. So they knew it was coming. So that's interesting. But one of the things I was telling Dr. Weeks about you is that the timing, this program was just being developed as you were getting into high school. So you started out with a business. They have in our high schools, guys, you cannot graduate until you do a career pathway. This is CTE month. That means we're all acronyms. Career and technical. Oh, do you know what CTE means?
I don't.
Oh, I was going to say career and technical education. So it's something that will help you. It's mentorships. And so they're working really hard across the state to bring people in from careers like myself and say, okay, can you help the students learn what you know about the field you've been in? And so I come, to it from a broadcast perspective, and I can talk to them about the difficulties of that's one of the biggest things. And I have preached that to you guys from the very get-go. You got to be able to make a living, and it's hard to make a living in broadcasting these days because it's entertainment. And so many people want to do it. You can. Don't ever let anybody tell you can't do something. But you've got to understand right out of the gate, it's not a high paying thing. If you're just you can go and do TV news up in one of the TV stations in Nashville, and you're out in the field and being a field reporter, you're not going to make a lot of money. So you got to make a good living. And so I'm from that very practical perspective, I bring it to the students and say, you got to understand the truth of it, but you also need to understand this industry because it's everywhere. As I tell them, we're all broadcasting now. And so you got interested on the front end, you took a business pathway. So you've not only he's in AV3, he has just completed his career pathway for audio video. So he's got that check. So you wouldn't have to do another one, but you're going to also finish one for business and marketing, right? So, because that's the one you started your freshman year. How many classes do you like before you'll finish the business and marketing one? Are you in your second or third one right now?
I'm in my third one now, but this year she added a fourth one, so I'm not sure if I have to take that one since she just added it. But so if I do have to take it, I'll have one more. But if not, this is my last one.
Yeah, I think I don't know. We'd have to talk to Miss Risher, right, about that.
Yes.
And then what's so fascinating though is so the other day I'm sitting in class and he's working on these little note cards. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's decided he wants to be an EMT. And so there is a pathway for that as well. You're not going to have time to do it because you're a junior and you've already got 2 pathways. So it's like, you don't really need it to graduate, but it's there. Had you realized your desire to go into as an EMT your freshman year, you could have gotten on that pathway for medical and had that one done. And there's certifications that go along with it. Miss Likens is, a friend of mine, and she's teaching that. And she was a surgical nurse. So it's another one of those CTE things, career and technical education. There's just so many opportunities. It's so cool. So what made you want to do EMT now?
Well, I feel like I've thought about it. It's always been in the back of my mind, but I just really got into wanting to do it in the last few months. And like I started making those cards, like I'll do the word on the back and then the definition on the other side. And like just after watching all of those shows like Grey's Anatomy and all of that, I know it's not going to be just like the shows, but like it's an idea. But just after watching all those shows and seeing all of that and just like being able to help other people and it just sounds interesting.
Well,
to me.
that's your heart too, because that's another thing. Your whole family. When I'll raise a question, something about my father's house or Isaiah 117 house, and you guys know all about it, and it's so funny because your family, your grandma, is big involved in a lot of the nonprofits around town, right? So you've got that heart, right? So, because he did a little, he's done some projects that are geared towards our nonprofits, and the Isaiah House for sure you've done some stuff on, and so that right there tells me that you've got a heart for helping others. So the EMT is a perfect fit for you, and it'll give you an opportunity to make a living, so you can work on your art, the audio video stuff. So tell us a little bit about some of the projects you've done with your cousins. Did we see any of that? Or you don't? But we won't tell people to go look at it. But how young were you whenever you and your cousins started putting together little film projects?
I would say it started maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. My grandparents got me a green screen for my birthday. And it really just started after that.
What you can do with a green screen. That's fun. So did you, your first camera that you used, was it with your phone or did you actually have a camera?
It was, well, first we started with an iPad and then my phone.
People have no idea the power of what you have in your hand right here. It's like we get cameras and we've got the fancy cameras. We've got several cameras in our studio. but I cannot say enough about the power of what you have in your hand and the incredible quality that you get off of our, just our personal devices now. And it's so funny, that TriCaster that we have that we're learning to work with. I found a tutorial that actually employs cell phones a lot, where they talk about how you can use a cell phone camera with your TriCaster and the GoPros. And that TriCaster we have leans pretty heavily on just personal devices and things like that. So you don't have to have all these fancy cameras. You've got a very fancy camera right in your hand in your pocket. And it's amazing the things that you can do in the edit programs. How many applications on your phone are connected to audio video production? Do you have several on there, do you think? I'm just curious, because I bet you've got several editing programs. Do you not?
I have iMovie, I have the camera app, I have the DJI for the gimbal.
Right.
And then I have Pic Collage where you can edit pictures, and then CapCut where you edit videos.
Okay, so you've got several, and the gimbal, that's a tool that's a word that's an audio video word, and it's a stabilizer basically that you put on your camera so that when you're moving and taking video in the field, your camera stays stable, so it's none of this shaky stuff. We had that's one of our something we're really hoping for in the audio video program. Mr. Gregory, I'll be sending that up with they're wanting us to kind of look, what is your wish? I want a really good gimbal set for some of our cameras that we have so we can walk through the halls and it all stays stable and all of that. But you have one for your phone that's pretty cool. And so there's an app that goes with it. And I think it's DJI. It's the same one with the drones. That's the same company.
Yeah.
So all this stuff, you've got all kinds of fun little gadgets and stuff. That's what this young man too needs full employment for a student. He is, are you 17 or 16?
Almost 17, but
You're almost
16.
17, yeah. So if you are hiring, he's looking for a job, and he's excellent at all that he does. So he needs more hours than what he's been getting at his job. We'll just leave it at that. We won't call him out, but he wants interesting work and something that an almost 17-year-old is qualified to do. We know a lot of folks can't hire until they're 18, but this is a conversation he and I had yesterday because he wants to buy his audio video gadgets, right? Let's be truthful. You got to put gas in the car too and pay insurance and all those things, right? The adult world. I mean, you're just on the cusp of it, Alex. I mean, you're going to be right there as an adult soon. So, but okay. So if you were to, let's say you're going in your freshman year, looking at all the CTE programs that we have, what would be the first one you would sign up for? And you're not going to hurt my feelings if it's medical. That's okay. What do you think now going in? Because you see what all's out there. Because I mean, you've got the medical field, you've got things with cosmetology. You can do all the ag stuff. Tons of ag opportunities. Audio, video production, engineering. That's one that we tried really hard to get some of the robotics guys in here today, but we just couldn't get them transported here. They just couldn't get a ride in. We've got, with Coach White, they've got the engineering program at Greenbrier. He came out of a math background and took over that program. But the kiddos working with robotics, and man, it's fascinating what they're doing. And there's a robotics competition this Saturday if you want to kind of see this in action at White House Heritage, I believe is where it's located. I'll try to put that information up, but I'm pretty sure it's at White House Heritage. But the robotics, I mean, all these things, all these choices. What do you think would be your first thing you would do where you are right now?
I think from right now, my first choice would probably be medical. Yeah. But I mean, then it was audio video, but that would still be my second choice.
Right. Well, because it's something from I have a student that I talk to a lot that's in my world, and they are very interested in. They're brilliant. Will make a brilliant engineer, but their passion is acting. And I've talked to them very, to the point that that's wonderful, dream big, but you got to make a living. And so, I think that, has some of the things I've told you about the audio video world made you think I need to have something that's a little more solid, or has that had any influence at all? I'm just curious, because I don't want to dissuade anybody from following their passion, but I want that practical understanding of which careers, you've got to make money. you've got to make money. And audio video is extremely difficult to break into because it's just like being an actor, truly, unless you're on the tech side. Now, you can go in from and that's your interest. You can be an audio engineer. You can be the person who, you can be camera operations, things like that. And you can do a lot better than the talent in front of the camera on the front end. But you also have crazy hours. Of course, EMT is going to have crazy hours too. But has anything that I have said been, dissuaded you from the audio video field, or do you think that's just something that you're passionate about and want to continue to keep your toe in the water? But you do, you've just had that interest with medical all along, and it's just kind of bubbling up now.
I think like medical is like what I want to do I think of it as medical I want to do full time, I guess, and then audio video is like on the side. So like whenever I do the medical and then any extra time, then I'll start like that stuff.
Okay. Well, see, and that's one thing too. You could go work part-time at a radio or TV station even and have a lot of fun and still, have a career with as an EMT. And what's really interesting is because not only do we have, and we're talking about this, Dr. Weeks gave up half of his time today because we wanted to focus on, this is CTE month, which again, CTE stands for Career and Technical Education. So career and technical education, we're all about acronyms in education, but anybody that comes into the schools from the career perspective and does career and technical education, you have to go, through the vetting process and have all the qualifications, and they also make us go to education programs. My husband and I both are in one right now, but it is an opportunity to just help mentor students into these fields and give them an edge going into their field of choice. So, what are we missing? What do you think? Okay, so are you the oldest in your family? How many siblings do you have? You have an older sister, right?
She's younger.
She's younger. Okay. For some reason, I thought she was older. Have you talked to people who are like, boy, I wish I had that when I was in school? Some of the programs that you're involved in, maybe even your parents and things like that. Because I wish we'd had some of this when I was in school.
I think, I haven't really talked about it or heard anybody say that, but I think the one thing was probably dual enrollment.
Oh, okay.
I don't think, I think I was telling my dad or something and he didn't know what it was. I don't know if they had that or not then, but I think dual enrollment would probably be the one thing.
And a lot of the career and technical education programs open your door to dual enrollment. We're going to be working to put, I believe I'm going to be teaching a dual enrollment class. We're working on that with Vol State. That's going to be, because my degree is in broadcast media. And so that's what we're working towards, having that type of class that will be a dual enrollment class, meaning that you'll get college credit for it. And you can take it in high school, so it's not as expensive. If any, I think you take it free, right? The dual enrollment classes. One of my students that I've had, she's going to be graduating with an associate's degree from Austin Peay prior to graduating from high school. So those dual enrollment classes, you can, if you really buckle down, you can get your associate's degree done and get some of these classes finished before you get out of school. Because now the EMT program you're looking at is at Vol State, correct?
Yes.
And I encourage, have you gotten over there yet to see what they've got for EMT training?
No, she told me, the guidance counselor the other day told me that she said something about she got approved, but she had to let me know if it was in person or online, but then she would let me know.
To go and look at it, because it's an amazing program. We had the opportunity, we had a professional development day over at Vol State. I was so impressed with what they have for EMT. Amazing. And it's a quick program. How long will it take you to become an EMT after you get out of school? Have you looked into that?
My grandmother was telling me yesterday, I think it was that my uncle had to do a year, but now it's down to 4 months, I think.
Wow. That is amazing. Well, they're streamlining the education process. They're expediting it because we need people so desperately. I mean, as this county is growing, we need people, our first responders, we need them desperately. So, so man, you're going to be able to just jump right in. I mean, you really, within just about a year of graduating, you'll be able to get out there and you're worried about making some money. I think you'll do just fine, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
So, but so what part of being an EMT do you want to do? You want to be in the medical side? You want to be driving? What do you want to do? Part of it.
Probably more the medical side.
Mm-hmm.
And I did they had a first aid class at the EMS station. I did that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like a certificate for 3 years, I think.
Mm-hmm. So when did you do that? Did you just get that?
It was
Recently?
within the last month.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So you can do CPR and all of those things.
They told us like how to use an EpiPen, how to use a tourniquet, and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So they didn't do CPR training?
No, I
Yeah.
think there's like different level classes that you
Sure.
do. I think
Yeah.
that may have been the first one.
Okay. Well, they'll put you through the paces for sure, and I'm just very proud of you. You've just got such just a broad interest, and that's why you were just such a good example of what's in here. You know, had the business and marketing, which he's going to complete that path. It's already just right on the end of his audio video path, and is interested in medical now, and all of those things he can do in high school through the CTE program. Coolest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
What are we missing here, my friend? Anything that you want to say before? Because I've got to do one more ad, but anything we're missing before I go to my ad? And what encouragement do you want? We're getting ready to have our freshman orientation next week, by the way. So if you're a freshman coming into Greenbrier High School next Thursday night, Alex is going to come out and help me with that. And just talking to some of the students about what we're offering through audio video. And let me just say, while I remind students, it's a difficult field to break into. Dream big, and don't anybody squelch your dreams. But every single student there needs to take the first year of audio video production, because you're all broadcasters because of this thing right here. And so as we get ready for the incoming freshmen, do you have anything that you would say to them? If you were an incoming freshman, what would you want somebody to tell you about CTE?
I think with the freshman prep night, that's really going to help them. I don't think I went to that, but I would say make sure you go so that way you can learn more about all the classes.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you can decide what you want to do. And I didn't know that you could do 2 pathways. I thought you could only do 1, but I think doing 2 to see the different side of things, I like doing that.
Well, and 2, even though you didn't get to do the medical, as you're saying that's your passion, the aspects of what you're learning with business and marketing, what you've learned through audio and video can be applicable to anything that you're going into. And you pick 2 very good career paths that can help you no matter what you go into, both of them, because of the social media world that we're working in. You couldn't have picked 2 better ones to give you just a broad knowledge of what you've got going on. Let me do my ad, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up talking with Alex Maddux. He's got to get to school too. We both do. We're going to be late this morning. But we want to pause and talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. We had a lot of fun. I think, were you in class when Barry came in and showed us the indoor drone?
Yes.
Oh, that was cool. Barry's one of these guys. He came out of a marketing background. And so he went full-time with real estate about 4 or 5 years ago. He came into our class and showed the kiddos about the walkthrough tours that they can do, brought in the indoor drone. He is very talented. He can fly that thing through doorways. It's really cool. But if you want somebody that can show your property in a very unique light, Barry is the guy. He was a vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years in Nashville. He brings that expertise to the table. He's also the broker here in Springfield, has a Springfield office. His wife, Rebecca, his bride, Rebecca, is the agent out of White House. And they have a company now. It's Exit Prime Realty. Exit Prime Realty, same great team, just a new name, but they've taken that White House office and the Springfield office and they've made a new branch of Exit Realty, but it's Exit Prime Realty. Exit Prime Realty, you can connect with them no matter what you're needing. If you're buying, selling, wherever you are at the real estate table, they can help you in a very unique way. She is one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. She's been at this a long time. They're Cross-Plainians. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. You can call Rebecca 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Please let Barry and Rebecca know when you contact them that you just move on. Exit Prime Realty. Barry Alex Maddux is in the house. He is one of my students at Greenbrier High school. I've had so much fun getting to know him, watched him grow up. Again, you're looking for a good employee. He's looking for a part-time gig. He's not 18 yet. He's about to turn 17. So he needs a good gig, guys, to get some more hours. He's working. We won't say where. He needs more hours. He needs more hours, right? He wants something interesting to do. So parting thoughts, my friend. Get educated.
Yeah.
Just study hard. I love because he's interested now in the everything with EMT. Seeing you sit down and write those note cards and being so diligent about your desire to do that is inspiring. Because people talk about the next generation. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of young people like him. He's unique, yes, but I'm very proud of you and very, very honored to know you. And
Thank you.
To get to watch what God's got laying the path he's putting out before you. You're going to do awesome.
Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome. And good job, parents, grandparents, all involved in this young man's upbringing. You've done a good job. So,
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining me. You better drive safely to school. I'm going to let you get going while I say goodbye, or you can just hang for a second here. And that's it for us today. And be sure and join us tomorrow. Oh, Valentine's Day. And we have good news coming to you. Jamie Nixon's coming in here, and I cannot remember the other woman's name that's joining us, but I'll get to know her tomorrow. They're going to be regulars, going to be bringing us good news every month on the second Wednesday of the month, and that's going to start tomorrow. So be ready for it right here on